Welcome to East by West Farms. Here we grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Today I'm going to show you several plants that are thriving in the Texas heat. In this video, I'm going to show you several plants that are still thriving under the Texas heat. And most of these plants are either perennial or semi-perennial. What I mean by that is they are annual, but they self-seed quite easily. I will show you some cover crop you can grow for the summer. We are in the middle of a heat dome and have had temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, close to 40 degrees Celsius for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it feels like we had that forever. Under that kind of heat, not many plants will survive. Most of the spring crops already died out. When we talk about hunger months, summer is the hunger months for Texas gardener. But if you plant it right, you will still be able to harvest vegetable from your garden. In this video, I'm going to show you a few plants that are thriving in the Texas heat. One true perennial that provides food during the heat of the summer is chives. These garlic chives, you can plant once and provide food for years to come. Usually, you can cut this maybe every 2 or 3 weeks. All you need to do is plant your chives strategically in some shady area because they don't mind the heat, but they don't seem like the sun. You can just come and chop it 1 inch above the ground and get all the leaves for cooking, and come back 3 weeks later, do the same thing. It doesn't need much care at all. This plant here is a Texas native pepper. It's called a Chiltepin pepper. It was grown in the greenhouse, and this is the 3rd year. With a little bit of protection, it actually can survive the deep freeze that we got last year and come back every year. It's a plant that looks like you planted once and then get it last forever. This year, the season seems to be a little bit late, even though we are in this heat dome that's just awfully hot. These just start to setting flowers and have some of these berries that start to setting fruit. It's definitely a nice plant to have, especially for people like spicy food. The pepper is small, but it's very fragrant. And you can harvest them and then have them dried. Then you have pepper supply for the whole year. Shiso is another plant that are doing well in the 100-degree Texas heat. This is a nice plant because you grow it once and you don't need to worry about it for the rest of many years. It's an annual, but it comes back every year reliably from the seeds that is dropped. It gives you this nice bush. You can harvest them for cook with fish or meat and eggs. There are so many uses of it. This time of the year, this is our main staple that we harvest to cook with our meals. The Shiso is actually a mint family, so it has this fragrant smell. Korean cuisine, they like to use these big leaves as a wrapper for their barbecues. Lots of you guys probably like to plant basil, which is a mint family, and it also is a beneficial plant for pollinator and also the smell chase off the pest. But the problem is basil don't like heat. This basil is definitely past its prime. It's already set seeds, so I probably will need to just cut it down and see if it will come back in the fall. On the other hand, Shiso is the same family as basil, but it's much more heat tolerant. It will last longer in this 100-degree heat and still give us the spices and the vegetable that we need during this time. One thing that are doing well in this 100-degree Texas heat is peanuts. In front of me is a big bush of peanuts. It starts to setting out these yellow flowers. These are sprouted from seeds that we just left it in the ground over the winter. So basically it's kind of like a perennial, and then it come out in April when the weather is warm, and then now it just gives you a huge bush. Fresh peanuts taste much better than the peanuts you buy from the store. This time it's so hot that nothing else grows. The leaf, you can cook it in the soup, and it actually tastes pretty good. Peanuts is a nitrogen fixer. We basically plant them everywhere as a cover crop in summer to provide nitrogen fixing for the fall. This baby bean plant is the hyacinth beans. Compared to other beans plants, it always starts late. It waits until the temperature hits 100 degrees before it sprouts. But then it will grow vigorously in the heat and climb all over the trellis over here, so give us a shade tunnel. It also has beautiful purple flowers that attract the bees when there's not much things are blooming in the garden. The young peas are edible, but a word of caution that the mature ones could be quite poisonous. So if you harvest the peas, even the young parts, make sure you cook it well. Otherwise, you could have some serious food poisoning. I'm speaking from experience. When the spring crops dies out, you don't want to leave the soil bare. And usually what I do is to grow squash and sweet potatoes to cover the soil during summer. But this year, somehow the sweet potato ones are not growing very vigorously, and I didn't have time to plant squashes. So the soil is quite bare. To kind of remedy this situation, I planted summer cover crops. So that's the okra and some beans. The okra is going to grow pretty big. You can see this one just sprouted. I seeded it last week, and it just started. But this will grow up to be a very big plant, probably in two months or so. And of course, the okra is pretty good. Lots of people like them. Only certain beans can grow in summer heat. That is the black Susan peas and also the spaghetti beans. Both of them are crawling plants. So I have here that the sunflowers that stalk for it to grow up, or I can use the okra as kind of the three sister planting, that the okra grow up, and then the beans will crawl up the okra, so I can harvest beans and the okra at the same time. In front of me is a patch of Malabar spinach that self-sprouted. These are beautiful plants. It has this purple stem and green leaves with purple tint around the edge. Normally it will grow up, and it's a vine, so it climb up. It will give you a beautiful purple and green foliage. It's very nice plant to have in the summer. This is probably the third year that we're after we plant the original Malabar spinach. It comes back every year, but it's not grow as vigorous as we have at home. Over here, eventually, I think they will condition the soil and start to take off. We can start to harvest some of the baby ones since there are just so many of them. Some squash don't like the heat, like cucumbers die when the temperature hits 100 degrees, but some squash plants love the heat. Luffa is one of these plants that just love the heat. Here I have just sprinkled some seeds in the ground, and it grow up and cover the whole trellis. Right now it's still just growing and not setting flowers or fruit yet. It will continue to grow through the heat, and sometimes I will actually just chop them down to provide ground cover, and then they will come back up again. And then when the weather is cooler, like in the fall, it will produce lots of luffa that you can eat when they are young. And then when they get older, you can let it mature, and then you end up with tons of luffa gourd for sponges. The last plant I want to show here is the snake gourd, or kukuzi. This is our single seed challenge 2023. We started the plants in a pot and then transplanted over here. It didn't grow a whole lot for maybe 2 or 3 months until the temperature hit 100 degrees and it started to take off. So now you can see that this has become a big bush and it starts to reach toward the roof. I will provide a string for the vine to climb up, and it will definitely get to the roof. And eventually it will cover the whole west side of the deck to give us some shade to block the afternoon sun. Several weeks ago, we started getting fruit, but because the plant was not grow vigorously, it could not support the fruit, and the fruit died. But now I can see that I start to get lots of baby fruit, and this one, look, is going to make it. And this is supposed to grow up to 5-6 feet. We will see whether it will do that in the middle of the summer because it's just really hot. Look like beautiful fruit with some stripe on it. So we're looking forward to harvest a lot of snake gourd. In this video, I showed you 11 plants that thrive or can sprout in 100-degree Texas heat. Summer is like winter for us. Basically, nothing grows because the temperature is so hot and dry. But if you plant these plants you can still have food for harvest to feed your family. Some are perennials like chive, and of course squash that continue to fruit during summer, and you can harvest chives and the fruit for cooking. When the spring crops dies, you also want to cover the soil with cover crop. Those are Malabar spinach or okra or black-eyed peas, and then they will be able to get you through the summer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumb up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave down below. If you have not done so, please hit the subscribe button to follow our journey with the East by West Farms.